A.J. Johnson has said that the internet is the best thing to happen to atheism since Darwin. And I think she's exactly right. And I noticed that Aaron Ra made much the same claim. He had a slide with showing the sort of birth of the internet, or when the internet became widely available, about 1990, and somewhat tongue-in-cheek suggesting that the drop in crime and the drop in religiosity started just about then, and that maybe the internet deserves credit. Well, I want to look a bit more analytically at why that might be and if that might be. What is it about the internet that maybe has that power? And if you want a simple phrase, it would be the demise of secrecy. Let me explain it using the, not really even a metaphor, it's really quite literal, transparency. If you've read your Stephen Jay Gould and read Wonderful Life, you know that about 530 million years ago, a stupendous event occurred, the Cambrian explosion. Well, it actually occurred over several million years, so it wasn't like overnight. But what happened was that we had a sudden birth, sudden, furiously productive, creative period when evolution made a whole lot of new body types, new body plans, new ways of getting around, new ways of being a predator or hiding or protecting yourself. And you get this arms race of wonderful new ways of being alive. That's the Cambrian explosion. Wonderful life, as Steve Gould used to call it. Why did it start? What was the trigger? Well, that's an ongoing research question. Nobody knows for sure. But Andrew Parker, an Oxford zoologist, in a book called In the Blink of an Eye, says, here's what happened. The ocean suddenly became more transparent. He's not sure about the chemistry of this, and the atmosphere too. He thinks became more transparent. And what did this make possible? It made possible vision. Before then, organisms could only probe, and they could only have proximal perception. They could only perceive what they were touching. They had no distal sense at all. They could have had some hearing. They could have had some olfaction, but pretty much it was all very local. And then the ocean became transparent, and suddenly eyes became possible. They evolved very swiftly, and they set off an arms race, quite literally. Suddenly, every organism had to play hide and seek, seek your food and hide from the predators, and all of the different strategies soon evolved. The armor, the pinchers, the ways of locomoting. Now they could start moving fast because they could be guided by their eyesight and so forth. Now, as I say, I love the idea. I think it's a very interesting and productive theory, but it isn't proven. So don't walk away from here thinking I've told you that Parker's right. He may be. I hope he's right, but he may not be. In any case, I want to apply the same principle to cultural evolution and the creation of the internet, and suggest that religions evolved for thousands of years, cultural evolution, basically in murky water. They evolved in an epistemological environment where you could only see a few inches in front of your face. Local perception only. You couldn't see the whole wide world, and the whole wide world couldn't see you. And all that changed beginning in the 20th century. Well, actually, it began even earlier than that. Gutenberg, with his Bible, triggered an earlier upheaval. You may remember Martin Luther. This all grew out of the sudden access to printed books, printed articles, printed manifestos. Suddenly, it was a lot more easy for everybody to get written information about what was going on in the world, and religions had to evolve or go extinct. There was an arms race. In the 20th century, we have seen tremendous changes, and the pace is picking up. I like to say that religion changed more in the 20th century than it changed in the millennium before that. And I think it's going to change more in the next 10 years than it changed in the 20th century. It may well be in our lifetime that this building will become the European Museum of Roman Catholicism. And I wouldn't take any bets on it, but who knows? Maybe in your children's lifetime, this will become Disney's Magic Kingdom of Allah.